Welcome to our next installment of the Conservation and Sustainability Vlog. My name is Gwen Roth, the Education Specialist with Hamilton County Conservation District, and today we're at Gorman Heritage Farm, a 122-acre working farm in Evendale, Ohio, and we're going to be talking and learning all about sustainable agriculture. We're here with Nicole Gunderman, who's the Executive Director here at Gorman Heritage Farm. So Nicole, tell us a little bit about the farm here.
So Gorman Heritage Farm is both a working farm and a nonprofit organization. We have 122 acres. We grow food. We have crops like sunflowers. We raise animals for meat, eggs, honey. We have hiking trails, all kinds of interesting things for people to come and learn about and do. But like I said, we're also a nonprofit, so we have a mission to educate. And we educate about agriculture, nutrition, sustainability, and the environment.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, when you say you grow food here, can people come in and buy that food?
They can, yes. So we have a vegetable CSA program, so people can buy into that, become a member of our CSA for their produce. We also sell chicken, eggs, pork, beef, turkeys, just in November for Thanksgiving. And we also sell sunflowers and flower bouquets. We have a bouquet or cut flower garden that people can buy a subscription to or just come cut by this time.
Okay, that's amazing. Now, one of the reasons we wanted to come here on the farm is to talk about sustainable agriculture. So could you explain what is sustainable agriculture?
Sure. So, to sustain something would be to keep it going on for a long time period. And so that's sort of one of the basic principles behind sustainability is that it can continue forward. And so when you're talking about that in relation to agriculture, you'll want to be preserving soil, retaining water, making sure that you're able to keep growing over time, to be able to continue to grow food, which is the purpose.
Sure.
But then also sustainability has an economic piece. If it doesn't work economically, if those practices or principles aren't something doable, then that's not sustainable. So it has to be something that's good for the earth, good for the yield and what you produce, and then also good for the people who are doing it for a living.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are some of the things that you're doing on the farm to make the farm more sustainable?
Yeah, so we have a very sustainable crop production. We have 30 acres under row crop, and we implement all sorts of different practices or methods. So we do cover cropping, where we put plants down. We would plant a specific crop just to keep plants on the soil, like to keep the soil covered during a time period where maybe we're not growing a crop like wheat or corn or rye, although rye can be a good cover crop, or wheat can as well. Yeah. Or sunflowers. So we do cover cropping. We also will do interplanting, which there's some in this field where we've planted two different crops together, a sunflower and another plant, which is in the pea or bean family. It's a legume, and that helps to fix nitrogen in the soil. So those two plants, sunflowers take a lot, and that plant can help make that nitrogen more accessible and in the soil. So we do that, intercropping. The way that we work the soil, we aren't 100% no-till, but we do practice some conservation tillage. We do minimize our inputs, so we're not using chemical fertilizers or using herbicides in a large format by any means. But it's also about balance and everything. Sustainability is really site specific. So what works on our site may not work on another person's site as well. They might have different approaches or different tactics that they would take.
Absolutely. And you mentioned this as being your sunflower field. Is this always your sunflower field?
No, that's a good point. So we also practice crop rotation. We have a 5-field rotation. Sunflowers are extractive. They take a lot of nutrients out of the soil. So we're not going to plant them in the same field year after year. We're going to rotate that around. This field will get cover cropped with some clover and a mix of other plants. And then the sunflowers will be in a different field next year.
Okay, so then next year you might use this field to grow some food.
Yeah.
After you've put the clover that's going to fix the nitrogen.
Exactly. Maybe to grow food or to pasture animals as well. So we'll do some grazing of cover crops and things like that. And when animals are on a field, of course, they're going to be eating the plants that are there and adding some nutrients themselves in the form of manure. So yeah, so it's very coordinated and a lot of planning in advance and a lot of really looking at what's going to work on our site.
So you talked a lot about crop rotation, and you talked about fixing nitrogen back into the soil, and you talked about different types of soil nutrients. How do you determine what field needs what and what you're going to plant there?
So it's a combination. We definitely do soil testing. So we'll take soil samples and send those to a lab and, find out like what is, really missing, what we have too much of, and make adjustments according to that, to the results of the soil sampling. And then also we just know, for example, like the history of certain crops, or we just know what they need or what they might take. And so between that combination of understanding the history of that field and what crops have been there, and then the data from the soil testing, we can make really informed decisions.
Okay. Now you talked a lot about how to be sustainable in the plant area of your farm. What about in the animal area of your farm? What do you do there?
So with our animals, all of them are pastured, meaning that they are outside when they're old enough to be. And we do a lot of rotation. So that's a real key with animals and pasturing, is making sure we're rotating them, moving them from pasture to pasture. So they're not on one part of the property for too long, where they would eat the plant matter down too low, or they could start getting any type of parasite, back. So we want to make sure we're moving them around. So we have an egg mobile. Our laying hens move around in an egg mobile. It's kind of like a little covered wagon that hooks onto the tractor, and we can move that. And then, our other, like our small ruminants, like sheep or goats, they would just be moved from pasture to pasture, cattle as well.
And how many acres did you say this farm was?
It's just 122 acres. So we really try to do a lot on a pretty small space. We have, like I said, 30 acres of row crops. We have about 2-acre vegetable garden, and then we have a lot of pasture space. But then we also have like education areas, an interpretive center, all of that fitting on this one site. So if we have hogs on site, we'll pretty much only have like 5 hogs or 3 beef cattle. We're showing the community, where that food comes from, but on a very small scale compared to a large producer.
Absolutely. And you mentioned a couple times your education. Your mission is education, and you do education programming. What does that really look like?
So like I said, we try to have a little bit of everything so we can teach people about it. We can teach people this is, where this type of food comes from, or this is how you can grow food yourself. So we have school field trip programs. We also have farm-based programs that we take into schools, a farm to classroom program. We do programs in the summer for children, also with our summer day camp. And then we also have a lot of programs for the community, for adults, for families on the weekends or in the evenings, everything from like sustainable home vegetable production or backyard chickens to a farm encounters walk. Bring your preschool age children and, pet a soft bunny, meet a chicken, that sort of really sensory type of a program.
So how long has this been a working farm here?
Gorman Heritage Farm has been here as a working farm since 1835.
Wow.
So first it was a family farm, and the Brown family started the farm in the 1830s, and then it was the Gorman family farm through marriage. One of the Browns married a Gorman, stayed in the same family, and was farmed by those families all the way up until the 1990s. And at that point, Jim and Dorothy Gorman donated the farm to the community so that it could be a place for people to learn about farming and about the hard work that goes into farming and about where their food comes from. So we've been a nonprofit this is our 26th anniversary here.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. Do you have to be a member to visit here?
No, we do sell memberships, and we appreciate that support, but you can just come visit the farm. We're open Monday through Saturday. It's $5 for adults, $3 for children. Just walk around and enjoy. And then always check out our social media or our website to find out about specific programming.
Awesome. It really is amazing. I mean, just over the hill there is the Mill Creek, and we have, as Nicole said, over 100 acres here as a working farm. So definitely come out to Gorman and learn a little bit more about the farm. So we talked with Nicole all about the things they do here at Gorman Heritage Farm to promote sustainable agriculture, but you too can do that kind of thing at home. One of the things you can do to help promote sustainable agriculture is to grow your own food and use the resources that you have on site. So we want to compost a lot of our food scraps, and we can take that compost and put it on our plants and help our plants to grow so we don't have to use extra fertilizer. We can capture the water that falls on our land with a rain barrel, and then we can use that to water our plants. The more food we grow, the closer to where we eat food, the better it is for the environment. So we want to try and grow our food locally, but we also want to make sure we're buying food locally as well. So even if you don't have a lot of space around your home, you can still grow some of your own food. You'll notice all these different raised beds they have in this area. And actually raised beds make it a little easier because you don't have to bend so far to plant and to harvest. But whatever you do, you want to make sure you test that soil before you plant stuff in it. So you can go to our website and you can download a soil fertility test form, fill that out, send it with a soil sample to Penn State University, and they'll send the results back to you, and then you can use those results to amend your soil properly. And then you can have peppers and tomatoes and peas and sweet potatoes and all that amazing food right here in your own backyard. So thanks for joining us on our tour of Gorman Heritage Farm today. I hope you learned a lot about sustainable agriculture and ways that you can be more sustainable at home to help preserve our natural resources in Hamilton County. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and like our Facebook page, and you can find all that information in the comments below. Until next time, we'll see you then.